We're live. Maybe. Brooke will give me the thumbs up when it says live. You can only see like those guys, right?
Thumbs up.
Yeah, scoot down this way. All right.
Yeah.
All right, well, good evening and welcome. We did just finish up an executive session, and just for tonight, we do have an additional Ways and Means, and that is number 9. That is a updated board policy on 218.3. That is a discipline of a student convicted / adjudicated of sexual assault. Dr. Perry, anything you want to add to that, or any language that was added that the board should be aware of?
So as I mentioned last week, that the board policy 218.3, the parent registration statement, as well as the parent verification statement, have been updated for your review. Those new additional languages are in green. And all of this has been worked in collaboration with Dr. Dalton from Stockman Leader and aligns to all of our other policies. So we should now officially be updated at that time.
Until the next one.
Until the next
I was gonna say, I keep getting things daily where there
Yes.
could be, questioning certain things,
Sure. Yeah.
And, I know between you and Brooke, that you're trying to keep us in line, so
Yes.
I really don't, have any worries in that respect.
Anytime something is updated, it'll often pull in another policy, and that will require that policy to also be updated with the language. That's why we do bring it to you for review, and we'll show you the notations of what's been removed from the policy and replaced. So at this point, I believe we're good to go.
Very good.
And just so the board knows, when we do those policy updates, we're working with a big block of clients on those. So you might be thinking, oh gosh, we're going to see a solicitor bill that shows all this work on 218 policy and what's happening with that. You're not. You're sharing costs among 15, 20 different districts that all said, yeah, we need that same update. So we do extensive revisions. We can spend a lot of time and you pay for a fraction of that. So it's really good that you put the priority on updating your policies, because that's your first line of defense and you can actually do it pretty efficiently. So kudos to you guys for making that a priority and for Dr. Perry for staying on top of it.
And Brooke made sure that we were the smallest percentage. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Make sure we see that.
No guarantees.
It's just a quarter.
What I'm going to do tonight is, obviously, when we talk budget a little bit, also, obviously, the budget was presented last week. Just to follow up, I'm going to have Mrs. Duncan today. I shared a document with everybody, and you have a hard copy in front of you if you're here in person with us. And that was the adjusted rates. And I'm gonna pass it over to Mrs. Duncan, because she's going to be able to speak much more eloquently on this than I will. That's for sure.
So the revenue summary page that everyone was given, what we wanted to show on this page is an assessment change. I talked with Adams County Tax Assessor's Office, and sometimes it takes them a while to get properties on the tax roll. So I called to get an updated number. So that gave us some additional value of our mill. So that's what you'll see, the percentages if we went to the index, what it looks like now with the new assessment. So basically, if we did not have any tax increase, we'd be taking 1.3 million out of fund balance. If we did a 25%, it would be 1,008,000. If we did 50%, it would be 678,000. And if we did 75%, $349. And basically, a full index would take us to just about 20,000 out of fund balance.
349,000. You said $49.
349,000 if we did 75%, but if we did a full tax increase, it would be 20,000. That's what you're saying. And the first column is 100% usage of index, which would then, the budget shortfall would only be $20,378. So that's the changes that we looked at. And basically what we need to do is decide what you're thinking regarding tax. If you want to do the tax increase, what you're thinking, what questions do you have that we can address?
As I say, when you look at that, part of that budget we presented was the addition of 6 new teaching positions. Those 6 new teaching positions, we would look at a K-3 gifted teacher. And part of that is it's needed. Obviously, when we move forward, Dr. Perry, I know with Dr. Corbin, have been working on a new district division for gifted education, and we want to make sure that legally we are meeting the requirements of gifted education. Part of that is having a teacher to handle the IEPs and the caseload, GIEPs and the caseloads for each student. We're also looking at a media specialist, K-3. This why I say it's a new position. It's actually to replace a position that was furloughed or cut many years ago. And this would allow us to bring some equity to CTE and NOE to each have a librarian where we can offer our students library media services every day. Also to help support the curriculum that we have in place for media services with the focus on STEM and design thinking process. So students could have that ability to do that every day versus once a cycle. We're also looking at 2 classroom teachers at the middle school. And that's to help reduce class size and even out instructional teams for our middle school. We're looking at a technology education teacher at the high school. And this is needed to meet course request needs from our students on elective courses, because obviously as our CTC grows in popularity, so does the request to have the classes. Also, we're looking to help, this will help bring in additional PDE approved programs, such as, I believe it is precision production, and other courses so that we can actually have those items ready to go. And then we're looking at a special education teacher to be determined based on caseload for our teachers. Right now, we're right at the limit of caseloads, and Dr. Corbett could probably speak to this better than I can, but a lot of it deals with usually a caseload's around 30, maybe a little bit more than that per teacher. We're right there in many of our buildings. So one extra teacher will help reduce that caseload size and allow us to meet the educational needs of our IEP students, our special education students. So those 6 positions, they're built into that budget when you see what you voted on or what you saw initially. But I wanted to share that so that everybody knew exactly what those positions were.
Can I ask a question about the middle school one?
Mhm.
The 7th grade class currently is the largest class, correct?
7th or 8th grade, one or two.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm just curious how many kids they were running in a class.
Well, this year, obviously, they're running
Well, I guess
14
it's
to
not a
15,
fair
but if we
number
were
to say
full on, they'd
this
probably be
year.
28 to 30 in class.
So it is a good thing.
Reality is with these 2 teachers, we bring that number down to probably 24, which is much more manageable at the middle school level. In addition, it gives our students more opportunities to be in a team, depending on how the middle school chooses to cluster that. If they make a 7-1, 8-1 community or a 7-2, 8-2, the blended team will disperse, and there'll be 3 teams of 7th grade and 3 teams of 8th grade.
And also surveying some of the other surrounding school districts, it seems that most of the districts are looking at between 50 and a 75% of index tax increase. So that's kind of the standard going in the surrounding school districts. So I'm just letting you know what's happening around us.
So I know that was one of the requests, what are the other districts doing? So I reached out, and most of them are trying, they're in the same process we are right now. But their recommendation to the board would be only to go 50 to 75% of the index. While some went no index last year, they realized really pretty quickly that they had to make sure that they have something coming in to sustain down the line.
Refresh my memory, is this related to the, there was something that we had discussed during budget last year, and I can't recall exactly what, but it was something that if we don't do it this year, it holds us back from doing that.
No, that was the
Something
exceptions.
That was the
Okay,
exception.
thank you.
Special ed exceptions and
you.
PSERS exceptions, which
Okay, that's,
Which we
yes.
didn't qualify
we didn't
for.
qualify for
Okay.
anyway, so it wasn't an issue.
Okay.
Each year that index may change a little, but according to the numbers here, if we went 50%, that is going to bite into our bank account
Thanks, Mark.
really hard if we had to use it all. Now, quite frankly, there's a lot of times that we get to the end of the year and we haven't had to take anything out. And in reality, there was years that we put back. This year, I don't think that's gonna happen because COVID has really changed the numbers for everybody. And that includes even the active, which the budget that we're gonna approve tonight. The numbers take the same up there, so my suggestion is that if we can hold it to the 50%, then we kind of people, we didn't take the full index, to try to take everything down to basically zero. But in this case, would help us to maintain a favorable fund balance that in reality won't hurt us down the road. So it gives us something to think about.
On a 50%, can you give me a rough idea? Like say my home is 200,000 on 50%. How much more am I paying?
Those numbers,
It would be $27.84 per 100,000.
in reality, isn't too
Yes.
bad.
Yes, Pat?
Last year, did we go the full 100%?
Yes,
Yes, we did.
Yes. Okay. And I was going to ask about how it would change the index impact, but you just answered that.
But Pat, it would give you something to tell your constituents if they do ask that, we did try to hit a happy medium. So that,
Yeah.
that wouldn't be such a burden, but,
Yeah, I think it's great if we can go at the 50% level. I think that's at least shown and we're trying. We're not taking the 100%. That's at least an effort on our part.
yes, ma'am.
I would agree with that.
So for budget, everybody will give their vote.
all right. Then for the next study session, I can prepare the numbers and show you the budget with the 50%.
50%.
And then we'll vote on the final budget on May 11th,
10th, May 10th.
10th, May 10th is the next one.
Yes.
We usually go forward to.
Okay, in the meantime, that gives you basically another month to make sure that these numbers are in reality,
Yes.
good numbers.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate your help.
That'll give us some guidance too. Thank you.
Happy to see that we can even entertain that.
So it is.
Okay, we are now, were you finished?
I'm finished. It's 7:30. The floor is yours, Mr. Brock.
Okay. Madam Secretary, are you ready for the meeting? Okay, we will open the April 12th meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, before we get started, I will tell you that we did have a brief executive session for personnel confidential and legal information. So we will move on. We had presented to us the meeting minutes from February 8th. I need a motion to move to approve.
Move to approve.
Okay, we have an approval. Is there any additions or corrections anybody would like to make before we have a second? If not, could I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor of the minutes being approved, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, Dr. Russo, will you take care of the building reports?
Absolutely. We're going to start this evening with Dr. Corbin. So Dr. Corbin, when you're ready, by all means, please enlighten us.
Absolutely. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Just a few things. Just wanted to let you know what's going on a little bit in high school. The replacement math classes partnered with the art department, and the art department had a project in which the students digitally created robots. And so from there, the math students then took those creations and they had to actually recreate the robot using only quadrilaterals from their unit of study. So each student's project turned out amazing, and it was great to see that collaboration between the art department and our learning support math department. Some of our CVIS learning support students are currently participating in a PSSA review competition in ELA, and they're doing a great job with reviewing the skills. They also just finished their algebra unit in math and did well with the abstract concepts. Lastly, I just wanted to share a little bit about our third grade gifted students at CTE. They created a news report called ANR, which stood for America's News Report. They read and discussed the attack of September 11th, 2001, a book from the I Survived series. Using that information provided by the book, the students wrote a news story and they drafted interview questions for an individual who experienced the attack firsthand. Actually, it was one of our school board members, Mr. Jeff Kinshu. This interview was conducted via Zoom and was included in the student-created news report. So we want to give a sincere thank you to Mr. Kinshu for assisting with this project. The students were very, very proud of the project. They completed and gained much insight and appreciation into why this day is so significant for remembrance and respect to our country. And Mr. Kinshu, once again, we want to thank you for your willingness to share your remembrance of that day. And we hope that even though the topic was difficult, that you had a great experience sharing your firsthand knowledge and working with our students as they learned so much from you. And I actually had the privilege of seeing this 8-minute video, and it was wonderful. I'm just so appreciative, and our gifted students couldn't be prouder. So a thank you to Jeff and a thank you to all of our students.
Yeah, Dr. Corbin, it was great to work with them. They were full of good questions and enthusiasm. And it was a great experience.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Kinshu, once again. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Dr. Corbin. All right,
All right, Jeff.
Dr. Bowman, please continue, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. I want to just recognize our Honor Society advisors. We recently hosted our inaugural Honor Society induction ceremony, where all students from all 4 of our Honor Societies participated in the same ceremony. It was a wonderful event. It was refreshing to actually have some adults in the audience there helping to celebrate our students with us. So I wanted to recognize our advisors for making that event happen. And I want to thank Dr. Russell for allowing that to happen. We are currently in the process of trying the best way to host our traditional spring events, such as our concerts, our award ceremonies, and yes, graduation. We are excited to find creative ways to allow these traditions to occur since they could not last year. Lastly, just kind of touch base, as you know, we're well underway with the spring season. We have about 227 students total at the high school level and about 115 at the middle school level. Our boys lacrosse team kind of leads the way to the tip of the spear right now at 4-0, and they are competing tomorrow afternoon against Central, the only other undefeated team in the league. I think they're both actually ranked in the state right now. So if you can, come out and support our boys tomorrow afternoon. And lastly, there's a great deal of the season left, but we're confident that many of our teams with their district aspirations will be successful and hopefully reach that goal. So we wish all of our sports teams luck as they conclude their seasons. And we want to thank our maintenance and grounds teams for making sure that our fields are ready and that they stay maintained throughout the whole season. So we want to thank that team for their participation in our athletic program. That's it for the high school. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bowman. Mr. Moeller.
Good evening, fellow administrators, board, and community. Appreciate the chance here to talk a little bit about our middle school. Just to give you a little update on PSSAs at New Oxford Middle School. We're all playing new roles in the administration of these, the overall administration of the assessments. Again, with Becky Myers' retirement, I'd really like to give a kudos again to Lori Miller, Adrian Herndon, our 2 counselors, our assistant principal, Mr. Beeman. All of us have been working really hard, feverishly to get these things ready to roll. And at this moment, I feel fairly comfortable. They start for us on Monday. Again, and like I said, they've done a wonderful job, pretty much sequestered in the room all day long, making sure that's ready to go. So we're excited to see that happen starting on Monday. Also, American Legion 8th grade award. We have several of those that were given out from the American Legion Post in Hanover and the auxiliary. Each winner gets a certificate and or a gold pin or a medal. The criteria we had for these awards based off of honor, scholarship, service, Americanism, leadership, and courage. Proud to say on the female side, the outstanding recipient was Maddie Knoll. Honorable mention was Cameron Stahl. And on the male side, outstanding was Alexander Scher, and honorable mention was Carson Crooks. So again, their award ceremony, I think, may be virtual. They're still working out those details, but definitely those winners get those certificates. And when we polled the staff, those winners were pretty clear. So kudos to them. Also, like to, again, you probably have heard, again, Dave Bowman from the high school, I think maybe Chris maybe alluded to this prior, or maybe saw it on social media. The music department recognized again, second year in a row for best community and music education. We're proud of the 3 departmental members we have at the middle school and the role that they played in the promotion of our music department. And right now, like Dr. Bowman said, they too in the middle school are planning a concert here for May, trying to put something together, taking great measures and adhering to the health guidelines, probable staggered times for ensembles and those kind of things. And I met with them today and just listening to them detail what they have planned and the passion that's coming from them. It's pretty exciting. So we're hopeful to put that together, to propose it and to get it rolling. So that's all we have from the middle school. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. Dr. Armacost.
Yes, sir.
Your show, sir.
Great. So good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. As Mr. Muller said, we are also preparing for PSSAs as well. It's a whole different ball game this year, as Matt alluded to. Not only is it the first time we've done it in 2 years, it's also the first time we've done it without Dr. Corbin's assistance. So we're figuring out all the things she did that we didn't really realize she did, and now we have to do. So kudos to her for picking up like that. Just kidding. No, it's fine, but kudos to our guidance and things like that. They're doing a great job trying to organize that. Secondly, our 5th graders participated through a grant with a virtual field trip with an actual guide from the Museum of the American Revolution. It was an opportunity for them to go someplace that they would never have gone before with an actual guide. So it was a good experience as well. And finally, we're in the middle. Since we've returned, we've instituted class meetings every day as a way to kind of get the kids off on a positive note with different activities. And each week we have started a little program where we're going to recognize our CBIS school heroes. That's what we called them. Our first week we did our substitute teachers. Kids prepared cards and gift baskets and all those other kind of things. This week it was our custodial staff, our cafeteria staff, and our maintenance staff who are in the building changing lights. So there's signs all over the place and little gifts, little things for those guys. I'm not sure the maintenance staff actually knew what it was like to have signs hung up on their lift, but the kids were thrilled to hang them on there for them. So that's each week we're going to do that till the end of the year. So we're excited about that. And so that's it from CBIS. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Armacost. All right. Mr. Cobb.
Good evening, Board of Directors. So just a few quick highlights here. I am also new with the PSSA administration, so Mr. Bowden and I have been working hard at getting the PSSAs prepared. Shout out to Dr. Perry, who's our district assessment coordinator, and I believe she's new with this too. So we're all learning together, and I know we're all working hard to get the PSSAs ready to go. Also, I just want to inform the board that we have a playground improvement committee that has been established, NOE. So we're going to have a 3-year plan of improvements that we're going to make to our playground. We're going to start small and then get big, but that's all supported by our PTO. So we're excited about that. And last but not least, we are trying to come up with some COVID safe celebrations that we can have for our students this year. They've definitely showed their flexibility and adversity through this school year. So we're trying to come up with some creative ways to celebrate our students at the end of the year. Thank you.
And Dr. Sanders.
Thank you very much. Good evening. CT PSSA is my 17th year. No changes. We got it down pat. We have our book fair, our in-person book fair of students started today, and we'll go through the 30th. So the book fair is open and running. May 7th, Mrs. Sign will be coming down from the intermediate school to present strings and band instruments to our third graders. So as they get to intermediate school next year, they'll be able to select either go into band or orchestra for next year. She always does a great job with that. And finally, today we celebrate our March Core Essential winners. It was Patience last month. So we had Skittles with the secretaries today. So the award winners came down with Mrs. Groft and Mrs. Lamke and had their Skittles with the secretaries celebrate their recognition for the month of March. So TT, thanks. Have a great night.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, opens up the song.
Absolutely. Isabella, are you there?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So last month, Student Council hosted our new event. We had a coin hunt for our students for St. Patty's Day. It went over really well. A lot of kids really got into it with finding coins and everything. So I think this is something we're going to try to do every year now. So that was really cool to see that students really enjoyed that. With our outdoor movie, some students in our council expressed concerns of the outdoor movie maybe spreading COVID or possibilities of students being put into quarantine. So I created a survey today and sent out to the council asking if they think that we should have the movie or not. Since it's so close to graduation, some students are scared that they could be put in quarantine before graduation or possibly miss different tests before the school year ends or even sporting events. So we either will still have it this school year, or we will push it back to August and maybe have a beginning of the school year movie event. So we're just in the process of deciding what we're going to do with that right now. That's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Isabella.
Okay, I guess what we'll do, we'll move on to Assistant Superintendent.
Yes, sir. Good evening. This afternoon, we had our very last Conewago Valley Online Academy Planning Committee meeting. So it's hard to believe that here we are in April and we're coming to the place now where we're making decisions about next school year and how we plan on moving forward. So I would like to thank all of the committee members, faculty, staff, as well as administration for participating in this committee. It was not a straight path, to the end of the direction that we plan to bring forward to you for your consideration. In either the May or the June board meeting, we can provide more details to you then. But it really has been a privilege to work with the faculty and administration to come up with a plan that we believe is feasible and viable. Moving forward as we expand into what we lovingly call CVOA 2.0. So it'll be the second year of our online academy. And our goal is to improve it annually, so collecting the data and, particularly from administration and teachers in the trenches, I value their opinion and their feedback. So we're really excited to see how the details of this plan evolve. Also, we have our final gifted education meeting coming up here shortly. Also, it's our last committee meeting of the year where Dr. Corbett and I do plan to provide to you the direction that we believe is in the best interest of the district, and as Dr. Rudisill mentioned earlier, is compliant, with the state regulations and guidelines. So we're coming to a close with a lot of hard work, and so we're excited to share that with you in the upcoming study sessions. Finally, I look forward to engaging with our community stakeholders as well as a couple board members as part of our comprehensive planning process. Our goal, just so the community is aware, is to have a full comprehensive plan prepared for your review by January 2022. So it seems that it's very far off, but it's really not. And if anything that this year has taught us, it goes by very, very quickly. So this is exciting work. There's a great process through the comprehensive planning portal through the Pennsylvania Department of Education that I think will provide great framework and questions and ideas for conversation for our committee groups. So I look forward to working, with our community of stakeholders through that process. That's all I have this evening.
All righty, thank you. Dr. Rudisill.
All right, well, good evening, and thank you for allowing me some time. What I'm going to do this evening is just go back to last week and just talk about the recommendation that was put forth to the board about whether or not to return to full-time instruction. So after conducting surveys with our staff, students, and parents from high school and middle school, it is the recommendation to stay with our current hybrid schedule for the remainder of the school year. The results of the high school and middle school surveys can be found on our district website. So if you go to our district website, and for those watching on live stream, you click on the COVID-19 page. And on the COVID-19 page, underneath the monitoring dashboard, you will find two links. One that says New Oxford High School Parent Student Faculty Survey Results. The other one says New Oxford Middle School Parent Student Faculty Survey Results. If you click there, it will pull up the PDF of the survey results so that everyone can view those firsthand. While survey results played a part in our decision, we also looked at the fact that we've been able to keep schools open to a significant degree through both following our health and safety plan and through utilizing short-term closures of buildings as recommended through the guidance from PDE and the Department of Health. Our hybrid model at the secondary level has enabled us to limit exposures and close contacts that would otherwise lead to more quarantines of staff, students, and has us mitigated against greater number of short-term or even long-term closures. Our hybrid model has provided the secondary level more space for students in classrooms, cafeterias. It's increased the ability to cover classes in absences that we've had. Continuity for families that have chosen their child's current instructional model, as we would not be able to accommodate hybrid moving forward. It would either be full or they would have to choose some other type of remote learning. A greater ability to mitigate against short-term closures, which at the secondary level includes our ability to remain open for extracurriculars. Our high school and middle school teams have been increasing face-to-face instruction for students that require it academically or social emotional needs. They'll continue to work with families to facilitate that effort. Families can continue to reach out to their building administrators to discuss the needs of their child or children. COVID-19 has made 2021 a challenging year for everyone, both in the district and at home. We recognize that as a district. I feel that our staff, students, and families have provided support and risen to this unique challenge. I can honestly say I'm proud of the work that our district has done for the families and the community and what we continue to do for our students. And I thank the school board for the support this year and everything that we faced and the challenges we faced. And we still face, but I know together that we'll overcome those. And I look forward to a day when we can say school is open, not just on a hybrid model, but on a full-time basis. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Dr. Rudick. Do you have any public comments on the agenda-related items?
On agenda-related items, I do not at this time.
Okay, then we'll move on to honors and recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Groff. So first up, I'd like to recognize Michaela Gebhardt, who was selected as the New Oxford High School Rotary Student of the Month for March. Next, I'd like to recognize Mitchell Groff, who's a second grader at CTE. He placed first in the state for his age group in gymnastics. So we actually have a state champion that is in the second grade. So good things to come for him.
Should be a sign over there.
Dr. Sanders is working on it.
And then also like to recognize that two of our high school concert choir members have successfully been recognized as being all-state or among the top 25 singers in the state for their particular chorus group. And then just building on the recognition for the music group that was discussed earlier this afternoon, also think that it's important to understand that this was recognized as well in a time of COVID, which presented in itself a lot of challenges for the arts, especially singing and band. So I think that bears calling out specifically as well. Also, just want to recognize the college acceptance, and that's all the recognition, Mr. Brown.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kinshu. Congratulations to all. All right, we will move on to the treasurer's report.
The balance of the four accounts is $19,433,568.73. I recommend the treasurer's report be filed for audit.
Okay, we have the approval to for the report. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Buckley,
Yes.
Mr. Flickinger,
Yes.
Mr. Huffman,
Yes.
Ms. Gauker,
Yes.
Mrs. Bolton,
Yes.
Mr. Craybill,
Yes.
Mrs. Souter,
Yes.
Mr. Kinshu,
Yes.
and Mr. Groff.
Yes.
Thank you.
Move on to finance.
I'd like to recommend items 1 through 3 for approval.
Okay, we have an approval for 1 through 3. Is there any addition or correction to those items? If not, give me a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Flickinger,
Yes.
Mr. Huffman,
Yes.
Ms. Gauker,
Yes.
Mrs. Bolton,
Yes.
Mr. Craybill,
Yes.
Mrs. Souter,
Yes.
Mr. Kinshu,
Yes.
Mr. Buckley,
Yes.
and Mr. Groff.
Yes. We have Ways and Means. Michael, we can take that.
I'd like to recommend items 1 through 8, with additional item 9.
Okay, Ways and Means, 1 through 8, plus addition of 9. Is there any addition or correction to those line items? If not, give me a second, please.
Second.
We have a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Huffman,
Yes.
Ms. Gauker,
Yes.
Mrs. Bolton,
Yes.
Mr. Craybill,
Yes.
Mrs. Souter,
Yes.
Mr. Kinshu,
Yes.
Mr. Buckley,
Yes.
Mr. Flickinger,
Yes.
and Mr. Groff.
Yes. Okay, we will move on to personnel. Mr. Flickinger.
I'd like to recommend for board's approval items 1 through 7 and additional items 8 through 15.
Okay, we have a move for personnel with items 1 through 7 plus 8 through 15. Is there any additions or corrections to those line items? If not, please give me a second.
Second.
We have a second. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Gauker,
Yes.
Mrs. Bolton,
Yes.
Mr. Craybill,
Yes.
Mrs. Souter,
Yes.
Mr. Kinshu,
Yes.
Mr. Buckley,
Yes.
Mr. Flickinger,
Yes.
Mr. Huffman,
Yes.
and Mr. Groff.
Yes. We do have some property and supplies tonight. Mr. Souter.
I would like to recommend items 1 through 5 under property and supplies and use of facilities for board approval.
Okay, we have items 1 through 5 for property and supplies. Is there any addition or correction for those line items? If not, I'd like to have a second.
Second.
Do you have a second? All right, roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Bolton,
Yes.
Mr. Craybill,
Yes.
Mrs. Souter,
Yes.
Mr. Kinshu,
Yes.
Mr. Buckley,
Yes.
Mr. Flickinger,
Yes.
Mr. Huffman,
Yes.
Ms. Gauker,
Yes.
and Mr. Groff.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do we have any other business which may be properly brought before the board tonight? If not, we'll move on to public comment on non-agenda items.
We do have one. This comes from Tina Main, 240 Pine Run Road. We have a positive COVID case that's in the household. No one but the person that tested positive is showing any kind of symptoms. I was told by the school nurse today that my child has to quarantine for 10 days, which I completely understand. I have an issue with the 10-day isolation. I feel that our policy needs to be reviewed because it's outdated. He is not showing any symptoms after the 7 days with a negative test and 10 without. He should be able to go back to normal activities. We were instructed by the doctor that if we were not showing any symptoms in 3 days after the first signs, we could all go back to our jobs/school. I understand that there has to be guidelines, but 17 to 20 days is too excessive for someone that shows no symptoms when the person that is positive only has to be quarantined for 10.
All right, thank you. Dates to remember. On May 3rd, we will have a study session. And on May 10th, we will have our regular board meeting. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting, say aye.